Hey, creative soul, writer, word witch, thank you so much for being here. I'm very happy that you tuned in. As you can see, if you've been following me for a while, I'm in a different space. I am dog sitting, a sweet little dog. Actually, he's not too little. He's a bigger dog. He's my daughter's and her husband's. So I'm at their house right now. But I wanted to get this video ready for you for the new moon. Because in this video, what I will be talking about is how the new moon in Capricorn can benefit your writing practice. There's some really good stuff going on right now in the sky. So I can't wait to tell you about all of it. For this video, I have consulted Kelly at Kelly's Astrology, and so I will put a link in the description below so you can check her out. Before we get to the new moon, I want to mention a free webinar that I have coming up. It's called Alchemy of Writing, First Steps to Conjure and Nurture Your Enduring Writing Practice. It's in progress right now, so I will let you know as soon as it's ready. Shouldn't be too long, and it will be pre-recorded, so you can sign up and watch it anytime. No need to schedule it on your calendar or show up on a Zoom call with a bunch of people. None of that. Just sign up and watch at your leisure. And then set the foundation for your lasting writing practice. So more on that very soon. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Johnny. I'm a retired adjunct writing professor, and I currently teach fiction writing and screenwriting to adults in custody. I call myself a word witch because I think fiction writing is a form of magic. And I've been helping people work magic on the page for well over 20 years now. And I'm also a practicing witch. I believe I'm on this earth to heal the world through stories, whether it's the ones that I write and tell or the ones that I help you write and tell. Thank you so much for your likes, shares, and subscribes. I'm so honored that you're here and so grateful because every time you like, share, or subscribe one of my videos, you support me in my quest to build a community of like-minded creatives who embrace the power of story to heal. All right, so let's talk about this energy in the sky right now and how it can help you with your writing practice. And there is a lot, so you might want to take some notes. And for this one, I've tried to break it up just a bit in the description so that you can kind of see what some of the themes are. So the general vibe right now is about reevaluating so many things. And not in the way that we think of a Mercury retrograde, although we are still kind of finishing that up. It went direct, I think, on the 15th with the full moon. And so we are about to move out of that, or maybe just have out of that shadow of it going fully direct again. But this reevaluating period is a bit different. So there are, I think, 4 different areas that we can think of with the new moon itself. And then there's another aspect at the end of this video that kind of relates to the new moon that I'll talk about as well. But first, these 4 parts of our lives that we can think of in relation to this new moon energy. First, it's to think about reevaluating your daily life. So this means your habits, your rituals, self-care, that kind of thing. So really think about what are you doing that serves you well and what are you doing that doesn't serve you. And honestly, while this channel is about writing in particular, thinking about your habits in life in general is important because it all filters down and impacts your writing and your ability to write. So I hope you'll think about these in 2 separate circles that overlap like a Venn diagram and even sometimes overlay each other completely. Because your life in general and your writing life impact and inform and influence each other. So I suggest for this making 2 separate lists, one for your life, one for your writing practice, and see what you come up with. So like I said, ask yourself, what is working, what is not working, what is serving you well, what is not. Really think about those ingrained habits that you have. Some of our habits, we didn't choose them. They just sort of happened. And then we just go along with them. And so what I hope is that you'll really think about how you spend your days, like down to 15-minute increments. This is what I do in one module of my Alchemy of Writing course, is I help people break down their days to really closely examine how they are spending their time. It's amazing the free time that you can find. So really, really think deeply, like set aside some time to do this and think about all of the things that take up your time, things you love, things you don't love, every single bit of it. And then ask yourself, how does this fill in the blank with the habit or the activity benefit my life? How does it benefit my writing practice? And for both of these, directly and indirectly. And then again, how does this habit or activity, whatever it might be, detract from my life or my writing practice, either directly or indirectly? I'll give you 2 examples from my own life to show you what I mean. About 4 months ago, I gave up alcohol. And I did this because I kept having this thought, what does this do for me? And I couldn't shake the reality that it costs me money that I don't need to be spending. And And while I could easily make myself believe that it relaxed me at the end of the day, did I really need it to accomplish that? I wouldn't say that alcohol had become a problem for me, but it had become a habit. It wasn't uncommon for me to walk 2 blocks to the grocery store and buy a can of wine, because I'm classy like that. And that would signal my shift from work mode to home mode, because I work at home. And so I needed something to kind of make that separation in my head for myself. So now, instead of walking to the store to buy the can of wine, to make that head shift, I focus more on a well thought out dinner that I make for myself. And I don't miss alcohol one bit. And this new habit serves me well in terms of my overall health and my mental clarity. And I can really get more done in the evenings, like I can read, I can get a little more of my own writing done if I want to. And I've noticed that I'm able to wake up earlier than I was before. And I mean crazy early. Like I've been waking up at 4 a.m., maybe 3 to 4 mornings a week consistently for a few months. And so I've started utilizing that time to also write. Also, about 4 months ago, I got COVID for the second time. And I had been on this really nice stretch of going to the gym and working out, and I was feeling great. And then having COVID again really knocked me off that, and I haven't gotten back to it. And so this habit is not serving me well. And so it's one that I plan to change in the new year, is to get back on my fitness path so that I can feel better. Because when I feel stronger, more alert, and healthier, it definitely directly impacts my writing practice. Because I feel more on point, I feel more aware of myself and what I want in my life. And one of those things is my writing. In addition to daily habits and rituals, this is about evaluating work. Say you have a business and you serve clients and customers. This energy is about reevaluating how that works for you. And again, which will indirectly or possibly directly impact your ability to write in a number of ways. Think about, are there ways you can restructure operations to still deliver the way that you want to and feel good about it, while streamlining for more ease and possibly allowing you more time to write? If you work for someone else and you work at home, are you able to be more structured about how you spend your hours working so that you can have more time for yourself? If you work in person for someone else, are you able to restructure that? And if not, can you restructure around those hours in terms of what you do before you get there and what you do when you come home? Or do you just need to get a whole different job? And I know that's easier said than done, but sometimes when we want certain things in life and the job gets in the way, it might be time to reconsider how we're making money, if we can. So for me, recently, this has been about thinking about how much work I do in the world that doesn't directly support my writing practice or my ability to support others who also want to write. I mentioned in a past video that I'm giving up something I've really loved a lot so that I can focus more on my own writing. Because I've spent so many years of my life helping others write, and I'm getting to an age now where I cannot deny the fact that my time is limited, and I need to get really clear about what I need to feel satisfied in my writing life. So I'm letting this other thing go that I love because it's the only in-person thing that I have going on. This will also free me up so I can relocate, which will ultimately also favorably impact my writing life. By doing this, I will be more in alignment with what my soul and my nervous system needs and my physical health so that I can feel like a thriving human being. And in doing that, I will be able to write more effectively and more often. This is also why I created the Alchemy of Writing membership group, because it allows me to serve more people without burning myself out and making myself sick. And again, this all filters back into my writing practice and how much I am tasked as one human being to do every day. So for you, as before, what do you need to restructure in your work life that will benefit your writing practice and allow you to write more often, more effectively? And I want to say this, I understand there are times in life when we need a job, a J-O-B, especially when we have other humans to care for and to care for ourselves, right? So I'm not trying to oversimplify this. And I honestly can't stand those coaches of any kind who throw out comments like, all you have to do is this. Or when you want it badly enough, it will happen. Or you don't love yourself enough because it isn't happening right now. I hate that shit. So fuck them, right? Fuck them all. I just think that's a horrible way to talk to people. I think it oversimplifies. It doesn't take into account this complicated system that we live in that requires us to do certain things just to freaking survive. And so I know that. What I'm proposing is that you really, when you can find the time, make the time to sit down with yourself and really give a mindful and thoughtful look at your writing life, at the rest of your life, and see how they intersect. And when it comes to the work that you do, get really creative and think about, are there other things you can do to support yourself so that you can live and make room for your own creativity? That's what I hope for you, that you can find a workable solution so that you can write. All right, this energy is also about reevaluating your alignment with your own morals and ethics and the way you live your life. So think about your philosophies and your spirituality. If you follow me for a while, you know that I consider for myself my writing practice part of my spiritual practice. And so when I'm not able to do it or when I'm not making the time to do it, I feel it. It really affects me. I'm not saying everyone needs to approach it this way. This is how I view it. This is how it impacts me in my life. Does the way you live your life day to day reflect and align with all that matters to you, with what makes your soul and your nervous system feel settled and calm? Does your life support your moral and spiritual philosophies and your needs as a spirit in a body, or vice versa? I'll give you another example for me to show you what I mean. I am unsubscribing from Amazon because I think it's evil. It's verging on monopoly, its workers aren't treated well, and Jeff Bezos. Before the pandemic, I didn't use Amazon all that much, but during the pandemic, it felt like a lifesaver in a lot of ways. Now, for me, and I'm not passing judgment on anyone because I understand how it can feel like a necessity for many, or maybe even is a necessity for some people to use it. So that is that. But for me, myself, I started to feel a little dirty every time I used it. So a few months ago in preparation, I stopped watching movies on Prime. And to me, that was the first step in disconnecting from it. And it would also provide me one less streaming platform that would pull my screen-addicted brain into its trap. Because I used to be an avid book reader, and the pandemic kind of erased that, and it's been very hard for me to get back to it. So decreasing screen time for me is a big deal, because when I do that too much, it pulls me out of alignment, and it doesn't allow me to access the parts of me that I need to write well. So I recently made a list of all the things that I routinely buy on Amazon, and I did a little investigating, and I figured out where I could get them in person, where I live, or buy from the manufacturer online. And so I've been waiting for this new moon so that I could disengage from it in a symbolic way and set this new intention about a new kind of vibe that I want to create in my life. So by me cutting ties with what I consider to be a form of evil, and doesn't align with my morals and ethics, is something I'm very much looking forward to as a creative, as a human being, and as a creative human being. I love this idea of having a clean break and starting the new year and this new moon with this new habit, or lack of habit in this case. So for you, in your life, are there practices and habits that you are doing right now that don't align with your morals and your beliefs and your philosophies? And it's very easy for any of us to get caught in this trap of doing things because they've become habit that really inside us are causing our energy to get stuck, are shutting us down in places because we're out of alignment. And as creatives, this is a big deal. So are there things in your life that you can disengage from and still accomplish what you need to do so that you can be more aligned, so that your own creativity can flourish and flow better? And think specifically about your writing practice. As I said before, and I've said many times, all parts of our lives impact our practice. When we are doing something that feels out of integrity to us, to our beliefs, it can throw off our overall energetic presence in the world, which impacts our writing lives. And we can think of this even more specifically to writing. How does your writing practice, so the way that you write, how you get your ideas, what you write about, and how you represent people who are not like you in your stories, how does all that align with your morals and ethics? Now, this may take a minute to get clear on, but as before, just sit in the quiet for a while and really think about these things. Are there ways you can elevate and refine your ethics around writing? Lastly, this new moon is about reevaluating where you live. Are you in alignment with the home, the actual structure that you live in? How about the city, the state, the country, the climate? It's so easy to just go with the flow, right? Because honestly, many of us live in places that maybe we would not have picked for ourselves, but we're there because of other people. Sometimes where we live is due to financial constraints. I know for myself, I'm absolutely not living in a place that aligns with my needs and who I am. I'm in a studio apartment in the city in the Pacific Northwest. None of this works for me. It's like I've been caught in a vortex and I haven't been able to get out. But 2025, my big goal is that this is the year that I get to escape finally. I need to live in a single detached structure. I need to live in nature. I need to live in a dry climate. Am I not writing at all now because I'm not in that situation? No, not at all. I still write. But if I lived in a location more suitable to my sensibilities, would my mind, my nervous system, my soul be more quiet? Absolutely. Would that allow me to write more and better? Yes, I believe it would. Like I keep saying, I believe that everything that impacts us in life in general impacts our writing lives. As an analogy, have you ever been in a situation, whether it's at a job or in a relationship, where you just kind of go along to get along? That's what my living situation feels like to me. So what about you? Is your soul in alignment with your current living situation? Does every aspect of it serve you? Does it allow your nervous system to be calm and to settle? If not, are you able to move? If not, due to finances, and I get it, that's a big one, or attachments or responsibilities to other people, how can you create a better environment for yourself in the here and now? How can you create a serene space, a sanctuary of sorts for yourself, a sacred writing space, so that you can at least for a moment, for a few hours a week, forget where you are on a day-to-day basis and deeply sink into your imagination, into your subconscious. In my Alchemy of Writing course, one module is devoted only to this: how your commitment to your writing life is deeply impacted by your sacred writing space, and how to create one if you don't already have that. So as I said, a lot going on right now, just with the new moon, and it's all good. It's really, really good. So the more we can slip into this energetic space in our lives overall that really and truly aligns with our souls, the better our writing lives will be, the clearer our conscious minds will be, the more accessible our subconscious minds will be, and the better flow can happen. So there's another aspect that's worth mentioning alongside this new moon in Capricorn, and that's Jupiter square Saturn. And along with this, Mercury enters into that mix. It opposed Jupiter on December 26th, and it squared Saturn on December 27th. And as with all planetary aspects, these things, we feel them before they happen, and some last for a period of time. So what does all this mean? So as Kelly says, in this case, Mercury and its involvement with Jupiter and Saturn helps sorting out logistics and finalizing plans and testing new patterns and schedules and routines. So this really relates to some of what I talked about earlier. So this is sort of a fortification of what the new moon brings us. As she says, it's a great aspect for the consolidation of energy around one or two significant initiatives. So these would be major themes or major focuses, or is that foci, for 2025. And she says even beyond that, for 3 to 4 years into the future. So this is big, and this is great. It's really great energy to help us kind of move into a whole new chapter of life and to really create the kind of writing lives that we desire. So Jupiter squaring Saturn, she says, is about stepping away from a bunch of small commitments or duties to reclaim your energy, because you recognize this feeling of overcapacity, of doing too much, like something's got to give. So if you feel spread thin, oftentimes when people feel this way, I've seen that their writing practice is what goes by the wayside, because we've been told that writing, and especially writing fiction, is a luxury. It's a frivolous desire that some people have. But what I say over and over is it is not that. It is a necessity. So if you feel spread thin, if you feel pulled in too many directions, if your brain feels fragmented and like it's hard to focus, now is a great time to start to strategize how you're going to unhook yourself from some of those things. Like I'm unhooking myself from this other thing that means a lot to me. So these could be things that are wearing you out, that cloud your ability to focus and really hone in on things that matter to you so that you can do them well. Your ability to be quiet, to be mindful, and getting in the way of your ability to write. Maybe it's all of the above. So really think about all of the obligations in your life, the ones that have been kind of foisted on you by others, by society, by your own choices, and the ones that you have consciously opted in on. and begin to envision how you can lighten your load. And this doesn't have to be overnight. This is about strategizing so you can create a plan to start unhooking yourself. Because Mercury is involved, Kelly says that you might find yourself in some meaningful conversations and gaining clarification about certain things. In terms of your writing life, what might that look like? Well, first of all, it could mean that you have a long time coming conversation with people that you live with about the division of labor. It might be about how their needs and wants are interfering with your ability to write. And I'm not talking here about kids' needs and wants, because those just are what they are. And we just have to figure that out until they're old enough to fend for themselves. I'm talking about roommates, spouses, partners, aging parents, unless the aging parent is also in a position to need your help and care so that they can survive and thrive if they are living under your roof. I always say that one of the greatest obstacles in life for a writer is other people. Maybe the people that you live with don't take your writing or your desire to write seriously. Maybe they leave all the household chores to you. Or maybe you've willingly taken those on and haven't spoken up. And whether you have a job outside the home or not, this whole concept of division of domestic labor is lost on some people, mostly men. And before anybody comes at me about this, let me say this. If you have a male partner who does his part, good for you. If you are a male partner who does your part, good for you. I'm happy for you. This isn't the norm. And no, you don't get a gold star or a pat on the back just for being a decent human being. It's just how it is. These meaningful discussions might also be related to your characters. It is possible to talk with your characters. Many people see their characters as entities outside themselves, but they are not. They come from you. They are of you. They're like kids that we birth. They are of us, and they also have their own minds and their own lives to live. Fictional characters are no different. So talk to them, sit in the quiet in your writing space or in nature, and ask them questions. They will tell you what you need to know. This Mercury aspect also has the power to allow you to know, to get really clear on which options to settle on, which ones are best for you, rather than being distracted by all of them and trying to do all of them. So really let yourself tune into that and see what comes. It's like going shopping at Powell's Books. If you don't know about Powell's Books or have never been there, Google it. It's amazing. And being so overwhelmed by all the options that you walk out with none. Getting clear before you go in about what you want and need in this moment, and maybe for your future needs. Not all your future needs, but some very specific ones. For this time in your life, it will direct you to the appropriate section in the store with a plan for how many you'll walk out with based on what you need them for and your budget for the time being. This is true for all the obligations in your life. As Kelly says, this is about inspiring a different version of yourself. Not that you already aren't awesome, lovely, stellar, but most of us are always seeking a way to improve if we're on a path for self-improvement and if we want to become better, more dedicated writers, better at our craft, while also being able to accept and love who we are in the moment, right? So it's all about priorities and limits. We can't have all and be all and do all of the time. So in terms of your writing, what version of writer, like all caps writer, do you want to be? What kind of a writing life do you want to live? As Kelly puts it, think of it in terms of containers. Containers that hold you and keep you safe and define who you are. She calls it a necessary separateness from other people and other things. So what's yours? What's theirs? Both in terms of the life you share with others, and think again, like I said, the duties, everyday responsibilities you have, division of domestic labor. Think about it in terms of emotions. I really hope you're not allowing yourself to be a vessel for the emotions of everyone around you. Because how can you write when you're doing that? Your own emotions are enough. Trying to juggle everyone else's? No. And I know, I've done it. It's soul killing. And think about your characters. Where do they begin and you end? And vice versa. Let them be their own separate people, just as you would your kids if you have them, or if you can imagine having them, and how you would do that. If you can imagine a container that exemplifies what it means to be a writer in the very most legitimate sense, what does that look like? And how can you be that? And in addition to all of that, Saturn is about scaling down, refocusing, and simplifying. So this could look like creating a list of things to do in terms of your life and all your obligations. In terms of your writing life, it could mean getting clarity around, creating a list around all the things a particular project needs, then focusing in on one item at a time. It could mean making a list of all of your writing projects and figuring out which one you will finish first. just for now. So it's about creating boundaries with others and with yourself in your life and in your practice. Mercury getting involved might also mean that new information comes to light. It might mean a second chance at something you missed out on. So what I hope that means for you is that you have an epiphany of some kind about some facet of your story that has eluded you until now. And I want to dip back into the new moon for just a minute and say this. Remember that it's in grounded, earthy Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, okay? Saturn is in Pisces right now, which is very watery and super supportive. And so we have this very grounded, malleable, supportive energy right now for all of this reevaluation that we've been talking about. I mean, how great is that? So it's about encouragement, strength, and fortitude, and a sense of worthiness. And that last part's really important. Approach your writing life, your writing practice, and your view of yourself as a writer from this place of absolute worthiness. You deserve this. Your desire to write is not a frivolous desire. It is a necessity for your peace of mind, for the calmness of your soul and spirit. Kelly says that this mix of earthy energy and water energy leans toward a kind of slower pace, making the things that we want more reasonable, more sustainable. So when you sit in the quiet to think about how to change your writing practice for the better, when you sit there and talk to your characters, what you come away with is likely to be more sustainable than what you've been attempting. And she points out that it might be more important to focus on your emotional capacity at this time when reevaluating and sorting out all these things than focusing on time. Because just because you might have time to do 20 different things doesn't mean you should do 20 different things. Think about how it will impact you internally, being spread here and being yanked over there and running over there. Even if you work at home and you're working on a bunch of different projects, think about what it does to your mind and to your nervous system when you're here, there, and everywhere. Even if you sit on your couch all day and work at your laptop. So think of all this as a lunar reset. This is a big lunar reset, a really awesome one. It's a clarifying time, and it allows us to think into the future, and not just for 2 weeks, for this next new moon cycle, far beyond that. So it's about fresh starts. It's about creating schedules and routines and habits and rituals and patterns with thoughtful consideration that are lasting. So when will you write? How long will you write? How will you move the focus of your writing life to be more front and center, instead of this thing you keep on the margins of your life that you get to when it's convenient? Last thing I want to mention, on January 2nd, so just a couple days after the new moon, Venus moves into Pisces, and this will carry us into February. Because it will be an exaltation, which means it's at its strongest and most vibrant. In Pisces, it will bestow this generous, generative energy upon us. It almost feels to me intuitively like the way spring feels, right? And it will take us all the way through January and through part of February before it goes into shadow, because Venus will go retrograde in March. And Kelly describes this as soul nourishing. Because it's in a water sign, it will be hydrating energetically, of course, and healing even physically. It will be a time to replenish for your emotional and energetic way of being in the world. And this is perfect for writers, so you can recharge and rejuvenate to allow for creation from your imagination. And Kelly says it's a mystical and spiritual placement. So it will be that much easier to reconnect with the divine, or however you think of it, that place that's both deep within us and far outside us, that allows us to work from the subconscious and that allows us to be writers. So that's it for now, lovely writer. Make the most of this energy that we have to work with right now. And please, please make your writing a priority for the new year. As always, I send you mad writing mojo. Happy writing.